Hey everyone, this is Minnie, and today we're going to be talking about the commander skills for the German tech tree aircraft carriers. Now, the German carriers are the newest line of carriers introduced into warships and are one of the strongest, even with the recent reticle and dispersion nerf that occurred to their AP bombs. The important things to remember with the Richthofen are that its planes are also one of the weakest in terms of health. Just looking at the base stats on them, 1500 on the attack aircraft, 1800 on the torp bombers, and 1760 on the bombers. Compare that to the Midway, where its stock is about 50 points higher on the attack aircraft, but a good 500 higher on the torpedo bombers and about another 300, 400 higher on the bombers. And then versus the hack, where you have, once again, about a 100-point difference in health between the rocket planes. Once again, another couple hundred between the torpedo bombers and another 300 between the regular bombers, which means that the Richthofen, while it can deal damage, really suffers from having low health, which is going to really influence how you build this. Now, as always, I do recommend, especially with the new build, that you run Luchins on him. I find Luchins to be worth so much on a carrier because of his aerial equipment expert, which restores squads 10% quicker once you hit 30 times, enemy ships 30 times with any of the armaments. So I can combination the torps, the rockets, and the bombs, and once I have 30 ribbons for hits, I get 10% quicker squadrons, which is disgusting when you consider the fact that that takes that down to 70-second restoration time on the AP rockets, takes it down to about 85 seconds on the torpedo bombers, and the AP bombers drops to 65 seconds. And this is a skill that it's not going to take you 10 minutes to activate. This is a skill you're activating usually within 5 to 8 minutes. You should be able to activate that skill. And so you think about that. That means that for 12 to 15 minutes, if the match goes full time, you're getting planes back that much quicker. That's a massive buff. So that's why I recommend Luchins. Now, the standard build for this, we're going to talk about what you need to take absolutely, and then what I suggest to take for my build. First off, you should always take the air supremacy skill. That once again already lowers it down to 74, 89, and 69. And remember, that's going to combo with the 10% from Aerial Equipment Expert, which you should be activating every game to give it even quicker restoration of planes. Now, at tier 2, I recommend taking the improved engines. I think having the squadron speed is always worth it. Just to look at, it increases it by 4 and 5 knots on the attack aircraft, 4 and 5 on the torpedo bombers, and 4 and 5 on the bombers. That little bit of speed is going to be critical because that gets you in and out of flat quicker, and with having such little health, you need that. Then, your 2-point skills you absolutely need, and these should be your first 9 points, is you should be taking aircraft armor and survivability expert. If you have to pick one over the other, I always like to run survivability expert, though I know many people run aircraft armor. But your first 9 points, and you should honestly be getting your commander up to 9 points at a bare minimum before you take out any CV, whether it be the Rhine, the Visa, the August von Parseval, or the Manfred von Richthofen. You should have those 9 points. You need those 9 points to survive because that helps you so much. Consider the fact that now our planes on the Richthofen are at 1817 on the attack aircraft, 2107 on the torpedo bombers, and 2057 on the bombers. That is massive. That is absolutely massive. So we're going to master those. So that's your 9 points you absolutely need. Now, that leaves you with 12 points, and I'm still upgrading my captains, so I have 2 points I can't spend yet, but I can still walk you through what I recommend. The first thing I recommend is, once again, enhanced aircraft armor. Because these planes are so paper mache, to start, you want every ounce of protection you can get. So on these ones, unlike the Midway, I do recommend aircraft armor, survivability expert, and enhanced aircraft armor. This one is less important than these two because the flak bubbles you can dodge more, but it is absolutely vital to your continued survival and having your planes. The other skills, let's talk about tier 4. I never recommend bomber flight control. I know it's tempting to get another 5% increase on just the bombers, but I don't think that's worth 4 points alone. I think the 2.5% you get here for 2 points on all of them is better than the 4 points you'd spend here, so I don't find that worth it. Proximity Fuse anti-torpedo protection negation is tempting to take with 4 points because of getting the torps to hit harder. Your torps, as of right now, hit with max torp damage of 45-33, and as always, adding on that 10% does buff it from about a 7,500 to usually closer to 9 to 10k damage. But it's 4 points, and in a build where you have to, in my opinion, take the enhanced aircraft armor, I don't think Proximity Fuse is worth it. Second, Close Quarters Expert is tempting. If you want to play this meme CV style, take Close Quarters Expert for the firing range. But once again, if you're playing a serious carrier and not a meme carrier, there's never any reason to take the secondary battery range. You've already got decent range at 7.2 kilometers, so you're not hurting there. And I believe that is with my 5% flag on. So I think it's 6.9 before that, but I might be wrong. We already talked about enhanced aircraft armor. Hidden Menace, you know my thoughts on Hidden Menace from the American CV's video. Even if you are running the 20% quicker return speed of squadrons to your thing, that still means that you're overall being slowed by 30%, which with German aircraft means that you're probably losing every single plane getting out of that close range flak and AA. And then finally, you have enhanced reactions, which we've talked about before, but just to review, I don't recommend it. It's nice that it does a quicker attack, but the slower arrival time and the lower action time really hurts it, and I don't see that as being useful unless you're doing a full fighter build, which I do not think on the MVR you want to do. So that's our 4-point skill, and honestly, that should be the next skill you get. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This should be your 9 to 13 point skill. So we're going to master that one, which will leave us with 8 points to play with if you have a 21-point commander. Let's talk about the 3-point skills. Sight Stabilization is not something I find that I need on the MVR. I run without it, and I find it does a really nice job still of being absolutely tightening as quick as I need it to. Would it tighten it quicker? Yes, but you're not having the issue like you are with the midway, where if you do the slightest turn with the rockets, your reticle balloons up, or with the torpedoes, you start so wide and you need it to tighten up as quick as possible. You get very nice tight lines already with the MVR, and as long as you're starting your runs ahead of time, you'll be golden. And especially with the rockets, you can routinely do a 90 to 120 degree turn without getting too much increase in reticle dispersion. So I don't find sight stabilization worth it. The next one is one that I hate that they recommend. I absolutely hate that they recommend enhanced armor piercing ammunition, because I find this to be a trap skill. So let's review. Just to put it in perspective, my maximum rocket damage is 3100 before. So for a 3-point skill, I can up that by 93 to 3193. So I can get maybe 100 more damage. So on 10 rockets hitting, if I get a broadside cruiser, I'm looking at probably 5 or 6 citadels, so that's an extra 600. And then probably another 2 or 3 pens, so we'll say you get a third of that, so 30. So you're looking at about maybe 500 to 700 extra damage on a good rocket strike. It sounds decent, but I don't find it worth it. The other one that it affects is the bombers, and you go from 8,800 max bomb damage to 9,064. This one makes it a little more tempting for me because on the double sits, that's now upping you from 20,000 damage on a double sit and pen drop to probably about 21,000. But once again, with the reticle nerf that they put on the MVR's bombers, I don't think this is worth it. I think it's a trap skill that's a waste of 3 points you could be using for much better stuff. The Interceptor, we've talked about before for the MVR. I love having my fighters spot hostile DDs because you can still do real good damage with an MVR to a hostile DD if you see it. So I don't recommend the Interceptor. It's nice for attacking hostile planes, but once again, this is worth more to me. Down at the 2-point skill level, we have a couple that I like. I love Torpedo Bomber. 10% quicker arming distance is great. Drops it from 558 meters, or sorry, drops it down to 558 meters from 620 meters, which is a big difference considering the fact that you're trying to hit DDs. The other thing I love to take on this is I love to combo Swift Fish with the torpedo speed in the modules, because this increases my torpedo speed to 61 knots. And my arming distance is still only 586 meters. This is really nice because with the fact that I have 3 torps, you can very successfully drop a you can very successfully drop on destroyers and hit them with 1 to 2 torps usually. So I recommend those 2 skills. Now, that leaves us with 4 points to spend. That leaves us with 4 points to spend. Beyond that, what I'm going to recommend, and I'm going to master those just so we have them and we can see, so we got 4 points to spend. What I recommend doing here is Repair Specialist. Repair Specialist is especially worth it on the German CVs because the fact that both your bombers and your torpedo bombers get the heal, so having that extra charge and the 10% longer repair time really will help you with survivability and getting those runs off. Also, just to bounce back to these, the reason I love these as well is because torpedo bombers are going to be some of your primary damage against battleships like the Republic that have an awkward style citadel where you can't hit it with the bomb successfully. So that's the 2-point skills. Once again, no need to take secondary armament. It's pointless. Patrol group leader could be worth it, and I sometimes experiment with that. I sometimes don't. But where I'm leaning more with this one is going down to the 1 point. I'm leaning to take Last Gasp because one, it's an enhanced skill, so you get 7.5% longer engine boost, which is 2 seconds, which is a lifetime when you're trying to chase down a DD to have that extra 2 seconds. And then I'm going to take Search and Destroy for the extra patrol radius. If you don't want to take improved engine boost and Search and Destroy, I would recommend taking Patrol Group Leader for the extra fighter charge on each of them, but that's up to you. Last Gasp, I've already talked about. That's worthwhile for attacking DDs, but nothing else because you're usually not going to be attacking with just 3. Engine Techie, I don't see it as worth it. You're not going to be using them that often. You don't want to rely on them because they'll run out very quickly. Direction Center, I don't see it as worth it. And Search and Destroy, like I said, I see you as taking improved engine boost and Search and Destroy, or taking neither of those and taking Patrol Group Leader. But just to walk through what the order you should be mastering stuff in, let's redistribute and talk. So your first 9 points should go Air Supremacy, Improved Engines, and then get these at the same time, Aircraft Armor, Survivability Expert. That should be your first 9 points. After that, you should go for Enhanced Aircraft Armor for your 9th through 13th point. Then you should go for Torpedo Bomber for your 14th and 15th, Swift Fish for your 16th and 17th, Repair Specialist for your 18th and 19th, and then for your 20th and 21st, Improved Engine Boost and Search and Destroy, or Patrol Group Leader. I think with these with this setup, the MVR is absolutely still disgustingly deadly against anything you're going to fight. And so it is absolutely worth it to take this build. If you're feeling like you don't need the Swift Fish and the Torpedo Bomber, I would probably recommend you look at something like the Proximity Fuse to help against battleships, because Proximity Fuse will increase your torpedo damage. Or you go for or you go for a build like with the Bomber Flight Control. I don't think it's worth it, but you might. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to check out the American Tech Tree CV video, which is already out. And we will see you again with more videos coming out over the next couple of weeks to get through the new commander skills as we enjoy the rework. This is Minnie, signing off.